preparing in the background, Mr. Jesse. Boom. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Dadcast. My name is JP. I am your host, and with us is the other host, the man, the myth, the legend, right over there, Mr. Nick Martin. How are you, sir?
What's up? I'm good.
Good, man. Awesome. How are you?
Dude, I'm fantastic. It's hot. Number one.
Yeah. I get it. I had to actually went and purchased a $350 AC unit to put in my studio here because there's no other cold bearing anything anywhere nearby.
I was thinking about going weekend at Bernie style for you. I was going to stop at the Target on the way home and grab you one of those little kiddie pools and a lawn chair and some ice.
Oh, dude, maybe. Hey, we got another podcast coming up on Friday. I mean,
that would be kind of badass.
The visuals on that actually seem pretty incredible for me.
Right.
All right.
Well, go old school. I'll wear the Hawaiian shirt like Andrew McCarthy, my boy.
Okay. We'll see what we can figure out, man. It's been a crazy week for me, man. I've been to Vegas twice, Nashville, and here we are finally back at home for a couple weeks in doing the home thing. So I'm glad to be here today, man. Oh, and first of all, everyone watching on YouTube, we are live on YouTube right now. First time we've ever gone that route where we're going live. So there will be no editing involved here. This is, you see, is what you get, and it's going to be awesome. And as you can see, there's an amazing guest hanging out, at least on my screen, right below us. You may remember him from such movies, small little things, Boondock Saints 1 and 2. Maybe you remember him from the movie Powder. My favorite, and this may be controversial for fans of this man, but I really appreciated and loved him in Dexter, the TV series. You can catch him in a brand new movie, which is actually available and premiering today, called Frank and Penelope. Welcome to Dadcast, Mr. Sean Patrick Flanery. Hello, sir. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. That was a hell of an intro.
Yeah, sorry.
You letting me be here.
Little bit long-winded, but if you knew me, you'd know that is pretty much the norm, man. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for taking time out of your day. We totally appreciate it, man. This should be fun.
I'm looking forward to it, man.
All right. So the very first question, it is a rite of passage here on Dadcast. We already know the answer, but we're going to ask it anyway. Sean Patrick Flanery, good sir, are you a dad?
That has become 98% of what I am.
That's a good thing. That is probably the best answer I've ever heard when it comes to asking that question. No simple yes or no. 98% of what you are. Well, for Nick, it's like 110% because he has like 87 children and it's soon to be 88.
Right? 87 is a good number. 88 is a good number. Okay, when you have your first child, the moment before he's born, you're 100% other things. You're not even a father yet. The first couple of follicles of hair that you see,
right?
You're 0.5% of a dad. And then it's slowly, I'm up to 98%. I'm pretty thoroughly, there's 2% of my life that has probably very little to do with my kids. And that's it. And that may even be extreme. It may be less than that. It is every waking moment of my day. It's everything I think about. It's everything I care about. So it's different than just a yes or no. Are you a dad? I am. My granddad used to say, I asked my dad whenever I got married. I flew my dad out and I said, for the first time, I'm thinking about asking Lauren, who was my girlfriend, to marry me. Mm-hmm. And he said, so you involved or you committed? I said, well, I'm kind of both. He goes, oh, well, there's a difference. And I said, like, what's the difference? He goes, well, you take your mama's breakfast, bacon and eggs. He goes, you look at that breakfast, that egg, that chicken was involved, but the pig was committed. And it really, really made perfect sense to me. I'm 100% in to fatherhood, 100%.
That's amazing to you when you mentioned at the beginning how that's come up when it comes to fathers, or at least the males, obviously the dads we've spoken, that they didn't really feel that they were dads until the child arrived in the world, whereas the wives, the girlfriends, the mothers, they, as soon as they know they're pregnant, as soon as they know that kid's in utero, they are mom at that point. And I've had this discussion where are you the dad? Do you feel like you're a father before that happens? And most of the time it's no. And we got an argument over it. She's like, you're a dad. I'm like, but the kid's not here yet.
So I can totally agree with JP on this. Like, my wife and I we went through IVF when we're pregnant right now. And like, I don't feel like, I mean, I'm a dad. I have six kids. And, but I don't feel like I'm like a dad on this one yet. Like it hasn't really like hit me. And she's like talking to the baby and rubbing it. And so it just hasn't hit me yet. And it's kind of like,
and it won't, Nick.
Yeah.
It not until, the day of arrival.
Right. So like shoots out and I'm catching like a football and stuff. And
well, that may possibly, those are always options.
But nature, she's undefeated. She is the reigning, defending, undisputed. And it's that very reason. It's like you can't contest it. There's something organic that happens that triggers in a dad's life. And you're right. Until there is a certain level of involvement and it blossoms within you, I think that's when you realize it. For a woman, it's very different. She's carrying a child. There's something very natural and real about that process. For a man, it's I always joke with my wife. I was an extra in my boys' lives for the first year. I was like an extra in that movie. Right. They're like, mommy, mommy, mommy. Who's that dude that keeps running around our house?
Right.
But for the most part, they were like, mommy, mommy, mommy. Oh yeah, that guy. Mommy, mommy, mommy. But then after about 18 months, a year and a half, for the first time you walk in the room and they go, and your life changed.
Uh-huh.
The first time there's that eye contact and a grin, and you realize that your child is recognizing no one else but you. And it's almost it's a gut punch, man. And that's really when, that's when the rubber meets the tarmac.
There you go. And how many kids do you have? Are they boys, girls, Ron?
I got a chick and two dudes.
A chick and two dudes, 3. I'm backwards. I got one dude and 2 chicks. 17.
Good combo.
17, almost 18 is the girl. So she's basically going on 30. 11, my boy, he'll be 12 next month, and my baby girl, 9 years old. She just turned 9. And
congratulations, man.
Thanks, man. How old are yours?
17, 11, 7.
Dude, so you and I are cut from the same cloth almost.
Yeah.
Is the 17-year-old a female by any chance?
Yes.
Okay. So have you had any difficulties since 14 years old? Any pushback? Any of the typical I know everything, you know nothing type scenarios?
You know what? With all my kids, every year is sort of different. You know what I mean? You really see life evolving and changing. And I'm a firm believer in nature and nurture. There's some that take care of the nature and then they outsource the nurture. And then there's some that adopt and just take care of the nurture. I think it's seeing that not only science and DNA is responsible for a large portion, but the socialization process in which they're brought up. It is kind of an amazing experience to see how kids react to different experiences, whether it's school issues or sporting issues, or it's it truly has become my favorite pastime.
Absolutely.
How did your kids handle the 2 years of no school basically during the pandemic? Was it rough on them? More
importantly, how did you handle it?
Yeah.
The society shut down, and we weren't going to send our kids to, the plexiglass barrier, the 2 masks, etc. And I'll be 100% honest. When I grew up, if you were homeschooled, you were a little odd. That's when I grew up. That's been my experience. I'm not disparaging on the process at all, but my experience has always been when I met people, and I'm from a long time ago. When I was in high school, it was a long time ago. But the majority of kids that were homeschooled were a little odd. We decided to homeschool when the pandemic hit. We quickly realized how grossly inefficient the public school system must be, because the kids, my younger boys, were able to clear 2.5 grades a little after Christmas time. Right. You realize that 8 hours a day, my God, what you can achieve if there's an efficient use of time for 8 hours a day. And it completely blew my mind. Since then, we've come to find, I think that same eureka moment happened to a number of different families, and homeschooling has taken a very different turn now. And I think there's a huge contingent of the population that's doing it. But it really exposed a hole in the system for us, at least. And we're in a school district that's tens. It's rated killer school district. But when you realize, wow, if that's as far as they advance in 2 semesters, before Christmas and after Christmas, going 8 hours a day, man. That's like somebody in Jiu Jitsu taking 50 years to get a black belt. There's something wrong with the instruction if it takes you 50 years. So we homeschooled. We stayed at home and we homeschooled, and we quickly realized that there's a large contingency of people out there that do it. There are a number of social sporting programs. Like I have a Jiu Jitsu academy, so a number of the families at the Jiu Jitsu academy are homeschooled. So we have a social net that's really bigger than his school social network was. So awesome. It was a big change. It was a big change. And you're talking to somebody that went to the public school system. I played sports in public all my entire life since I was 6 years old, and it was a big part of my upbringing. I think the thing that we really miss the most, but we've found ways around it, is looking at my life. And, my experiences and my wife's experiences are how we calculate our methodology of teaching our kids. And I don't think that's unique. I think that's everybody. But for me, I can remember every sporting coach I had since I was 6. Coach Eisenhower was my coach of the Braeburn Bears when I was 6 years old. I can still smell his Tabak cologne when he'd grab me by the face mask. I can honestly, without being disparaging, I can name 7 school teachers I had in public school, all the way through high school. And that's odd. But my sporting coaches, I really felt like they cared about me. I remember my athletic coaches would come to my birthday. My math teacher never came to my birthday. It was just a different type of a relationship. So long story short, we homeschool. We supplement with athletic programs. I know they're passing a couple of measures in different states where UIL will allow homeschool to compete in various sports with a school team. So we'll see if that passes. But in the meantime, we're plowing straight ahead. And should school ever get back to some semblance of normalcy, then we may consider going back into the system. But right now, they're shooting through this process like 3 grades a year.
Right. Next month they may have graduated college if you keep this thing up.
Well, there's no doubt that they'll graduate high school with an associate's degree. With the way they're going, you know what I mean? It's simply nonsensical. I honestly believe I could teach a lower primate to graduate public high school with an associate's degree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you mentioned the Jiu Jitsu studio. I can tell from the background, I'm assuming you are in there currently.
You know what? I'm not. Oh. I am actually. When I tell you I'm 90% my kids, I'll take you for a little spin. They are getting ready for their wrestling practice. And you guys booked this. I'm not going to miss my kids wrestling, but.
Oh, man.
I'm going to walk up right here.
All right.
Nice.
This is Porter right here.
What's up, Porter? How are you, buddy?
That's Charlie. And this is my wife right there. And we are at the wrestling practice. So this is the mat that they're going to practice on. and I'm locking myself in the office so I can talk to you.
Ladies and gentlemen watching live on YouTube, this may be a first ever on Dadcast. We got to meet the family live doing real world stuff, man. That is amazing. Sean, my kid just walked in. I want to introduce you to him real quick. He's got to say hi. This is my boy Sawyer.
Sawyer, what's up, buddy?
That is Sean Patrick Flanery. One of Daddy's favorite movies of all time. I'm not entirely sure if you're ready to watch it yet, or if I should even let him watch Boondock Saints at 11 years old, but I'm considering it.
Start about with young Indiana Jones and then hit him with Boondock Saints.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
but
young Indiana Jones, graduate to Powder, then hit him with Boondock.
Right. That is funny, man. My lady, when I told her that you were going to be on today, I mentioned I mentioned your new movie, and then Boondock Saints, and she lifted a little bit of an eyebrow, and then I came out to the studio, I was doing my thing, and then she comes running out. She's like, "You didn't tell me he was Powder."
I like your wife. I like her.
She may be watching right now. She got excited. So as we mentioned, we are live on YouTube. I've got a question here. Here we go. Question from YouTube. It doesn't say who. Oh, Steffi S. Steffi, the question for Sean is, what were your duties as a director during the long post-production of Frank and Penelope?
In a word, everything. From editing, that's a moment by moment, daily, hourly, minutely process. Hiring a composer, to sound design, hiring a sound mixer, going through. I mean, there's so many elements of post-production that realistically, there's no reprieve. I mean, I worked on Frank and Penelope, no joke, for an entire year, for an entire year without a moment off. It started with the casting process, and we started filming almost a year ago today. And by the time we got it finalized in post-production, we wrapped and locked picture, locked sound, locked everything. It was almost a year, but that including, selecting the songs that you want in the film, going through licensing, going through how you want to purchase it. If it's a step deal, if you're purchasing it outright, to the Cannes Film Festival. It's brand new to me. I'm certainly not acting as if I've done this before. I haven't. So it was a brand new experience for me, but man, absolutely everything. The job truly doesn't stop. It is an all-encompassing adventure, but I'm grateful to have been a part of it. I learned a ton, and I hope we get an opportunity to do it again, man. I really dug it.
That is so cool. And correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, right? Your co-star, Jonathan Sheck, he's the one who actually referred you to come on Dadcast.
Yeah. Jonathan hit me up on Twitter about a week ago and was like, "Hey man, is it cool if we see if Sean wants to come on and promote the show?" And I'm like, "Yeah, definitely. The movie looks fantastic. I'm super stoked on that." So
yeah, that is cool. So Jonathan, if you're watching, thank you. And
he's a good dude, one of the best dudes in Hollywood, man.
I can't wait to. I ain't gonna lie, we got a link to watch Frank and Penelope, which, by the way, everyone on the YouTube land who is listening and watching right now, is available right now wherever you get your stuff. I'm assuming, right, Sean?
It's on demand, so it's Apple. Yeah. It's on demand. If you have cable, it's Apple TV. It's Google. It's Amazon. It's Fandango. Right. The list goes on. But yeah, with a simple Google search, you should get a drop down list of exactly where to get it.
I'm gonna watch it tonight. It looks awesome.
We got a link.
Little true you dig it, man. Horror movie. I'm like, ooh.
I ain't gonna lie. So like I mentioned, I just spent a whirlwind week of traveling, doing a bunch of Dadcast stuff, and the email came in literally as I was about to leave for the airport, and I watched the first 5-10 minutes because I call me crazy, but I tend to judge a book by its cover and the first 5 minutes. And boy, I did not want to click that off button at all, but I had to get going. And tonight's the night, man. Tonight is the night. I was saving it. I probably should have watched it so we could talk about it, but then there'd be spoilers. So Bottom line, Sean Patrick Flanery, JP is watching Frank and Penelope tonight, and maybe when we get you back on the second time around, or maybe the Father's Day episode. By the way, we'll talk about that in a bit. We can discuss how it felt about the thing, man. Which leads me to the next question. Being that your daughter is 17, almost an adult, has she used your stardom to her advantage yet?
Lola is incredibly talented. I'll let the public be the judge of that. I think when you see her work, it's incredibly clear that she could achieve whatever she wants in this industry, with or without me. And look, let's not make any mistake. It's not like I'm some A-list actor. It's not like somebody's going, "Oh my God, you're Sean Patrick Flanery's kid. Here's a free movie." That doesn't happen. Nepotism doesn't happen at my level. I would assume if you're Steven Spielberg, then maybe your daughter or son can. But no, she got it all on her own, and she's incredibly talented. I would be in a weird position if I truly felt otherwise. I'd have to go, well, talent, but it's true. Anybody that's watched a frame of footage that she's done, it's incredibly clear that she'll go as far as she wants in this industry, and it will have had nothing to do with me.
Awesome. I probably should have reworded that question. The way I just delivered it, obviously that answer, but I kind of was leaning more along the lines was, has she ever used it to be like, "Hey, Dad, can we go hang out with Uncle Norman?" or something along those lines?
Nah, she is an incredibly grounded kid. She really is. She has a normal life, and she'll go as far as she wants in this business, but she's not premiere hopping in LA or anything like that.
Right.
She's very good at her craft, and she's her feet are firmly bolted to the ground.
Proud papa is what you're saying.
Yes. Very.
Love that. Where is home base? Where do you live?
Just outside of Houston, Texas.
Oh,
but
right.
I would give you a city, but there is no city. So there's nothing incorporated here. So I'm out in the boonies, got some property, and I'm out to the northwest area.
We don't need exact addresses. Just a state that works. Perfect.
Yeah.
A good buddy of mine just moved out to Texas, and he's like, "Dude, you've got to come out here." And the guys from Bowling for Soup live out there. The singer keeps telling me, "Dude, you've got to come out here." And I'm like, "Oh, maybe."
Oregon's a good place, man.
Oregon's getting a little weird, so it's
also getting ridiculously hot.
Yeah, I don't remember it being this hot as a kid, but
I know. But yeah. Texas, it's pretty warm there. My sister, she was in the Air Force back in the day, and she lived in Lubbock. So I spent a few times northern Texas, Lubbock area. I digged it. Not entirely sure I'm a fan of no mountains and the beach being real far away, but I don't know, Texas, Austin, that area, the music scene.
Yeah, my oldest son's in the Army based in Texas, and he said it's hot as hell. So he's like, I can't wait to get back to Oregon. I'm like, dude, it's 110 here. He's like, okay, I'll stay in Texas.
My granddaddy, one of the most important people in my life. When I wrote a piece of children's theater, and I went out on the porch, talked to my granddaddy, and I said, "Granddaddy, I think I'm gonna go out to LA, and I'm gonna try and produce this play and become a writer." And he's sitting there on the porch in his, plastic webbed lawn chair, and he said, "Son, everybody when they out here in God's country, they look outside a bunch of green nothingness and they say, man, one of these days I'm going to move to the big city. I'm going to make something of myself." He said, "But son, you make no mistake. One of these days when you're at the top of that building downtown in that big city, you're going to look out over all the crowd. And you're going to say, one of these days I'm going to retire and buy me a little plot of land and sit on a porch. So you know what, son? I'll meet you right back here." And lo and behold, I'm back in Texas with a lawn chair.
Is it plastic and webbed too?
It's not plastic and webbed, but I do have one in the garage, man.
Yeah, man, I ain't gonna lie. Fame and fortune, it sounds fine and dandy, but a wraparound porch with a good view of a sunset and a perfect night. That's my idea of heaven.
That's what I got, man. That's what I got.
Proud of you, man. Good stuff. Nick, man, yeah. I'm going to give you the conch here for a little bit. Tell me you put together a Fast Five.
I did not, because I assumed we were going to talk about the movie.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the movie then.
Before we jump into the movie, Steffi S has another question. You're an actor, script writer, and director. Do you say I love them all, or do you want to focus on one of them in the future?
You know, I writing and directing is a newfound love. You know, it's been that beautiful girl in the corner that I've seen at the corner of the room, but we've never really made eye contact before. But now that our gazes have locked, it's I'm pursuing that chick.
Awesome.
There's your answer, Steffi S. Right. She's got a ton of questions, but we got to open it up for a few more as well. By the way, if you just joined us here on YouTube, we are with Mr. Sean Patrick Flanery, star of Boondock Saints Powder, but his brand new project has dropped today, available to download and stream wherever you pretty much get your streams. It is Frank and Penelope. Let's talk about that movie real quick. First of all, did your kids play any parts in this movie? No, I know the answer to that. I had to relate it to Dadcast. Tell us about the flick, man. What can we expect without any spoilers, mind you?
You know, we started with a great story by a dude named John Thaddeus, an incredibly talented storyteller. And, you know, we set out on this mission, kind of a free form. And we went on a location scout, and the script kind of wrote itself on that location scout. For example, one of the cars you see in the film, I saw that car, so I put it in the story. And I'd never worked with a team of producers like this in my life that were so open-minded and willing to do things a little bit north of, you know, the fence line of the box. And I'm really happy with what we ended up with. You know, there's always sacrifices in every film. I don't think I've ever met a filmmaker that says, nope, that's exactly the way it was in my head. You know, you're forced with changes on the day, and some of the changes are even better. And some you go, well, I wish we could have got this. But man, it was an incredible experience. And, you know, again, I've been in this business for 33 years, man. It was a wonderful experience to work with this team of producers, this group of actors. Our casting director, Tiu, you know, we obviously had a meeting when we went out looking for our leads. And I told her, I said, you know, for these two roles, I'd really like for my Penelope, I'd like someone with the delicate fragility of an Audrey Hepburn, but the violent sexuality of a Marilyn Monroe. And she found me Kaylee Callan, who I think will be employed for the rest of her life. If anybody sees this film.
Yeah.
If
anyone 100%. Sees this film. Humble. I love that.
Well, you know, look, I mean, I've been in this business a long time. Discoverability is a big issue. I've done plenty of films that I'm incredibly proud of that nobody's seen. You know, I make a joke with my peers. I say I've made a career out of making movies that people don't see. And I'm grateful to still be employed. But I do know that, you know, discoverability is an issue. I told Tiu the same thing about my Frank. I said, you know, I want him to have the cerebral quality of a Montgomery Clift, but the kind of volatile, emotional cadence of a James Dean. And she found me Billy Budnich. And these are two people that I think will be employed for a long time. Oh, you know, should anybody see this, it was just a, you know, normally on any other film, you know, they would require you to cast somebody with names. And we certainly looked at names, you know, for these roles. But I mean, after I saw what they did on their audition tape, it was a very easy sell to the producers. It was just a wonderful experience, you know, and an experience that's not really common in Hollywood today.
All right. Jamie Hembre just popped in, said, evening, fellas. Hello, Jamie. We are on with Sean Patrick Flanery. Thanks for hanging out with us on YouTube, man. We appreciate it. Nick, I come on, man. These questions you ask on the Fast Five are the same every damn week. Let's throw it out there.
Fast Five. I wanted to talk more about Kevin Dillon and
okay.
Jack. I mean, the cast is incredible. Billy, the lead for Frank, like reminds me of a young Christian Slater. Like just watching the preview and the little bit that I saw him in, I'm like, oh my God, this kid is phenomenal. Like
he's good, man.
Movie, so
he's good. He's good.
I just want to throw this out there. I want you all to know I mentioned the AC unit I bought earlier. Well, I just realized I could use it as a foot stand, and the angle of the air is now going directly up my shorts. It's a fantastic day now.
Sweet. Dude, I hope you have flares on, bell bottoms. That way the wind will accelerate even further as it narrows.
Exactly.
Right. Come out the shirt.
All right. Dude, as it gets close to the family legacy, it should be going gale force.
Yes. All right, Nick. I'm sorry. I just there you go. No filter on JP.
None at all. Wow. Okay. You just took all the wind out of Kevin Dillon's sails right there.
So, right. And right up my shorts.
Exactly. All right. So yeah, I guess we'll do a little bit of a fast five. What's your favorite meal to cook for your kids? That's going to take up 98% of your parenting time there.
Well, truth be told, I don't cook. The only thing I cook is late nights. And that's if we wake up and mommy's asleep and we'll go in and we'll cook a piece of toast with peanut butter or something. But I don't cook. And I don't say that to be some kind of alpha male or anything, but I don't. It's just not. I don't even grill. My wife cooks everything I put in my mouth. I love her cooking, and unless she's asleep and we cook toast, man, I just don't, man. I don't.
You're a lucky man.
I'd love to tell you I have culinary skills, but I don't. I can flick a toaster down and wait until it pops up. That's about
Good
it.
Enough. All right. What's your most rewarding parenting accomplishment?
When I was a kid, probably the most profound moment in my life, knowing that as a young child, you're looking for your dad and your granddaddy's approval. I remember this not like it was yesterday, but like it's today, this morning. When I won't get into the nuts and bolts of the conversation, but I was talking to my dad and my granddaddy and telling them about something that happened. And it was just a simple gesture. They just looked at each other and went and looked back at me. And that kind of unspoken, good for you, dude, meant the world to me. The most profound moment is, as you get older in life, I really think that, your currency stops being things and it starts being achievements and accomplishments. And certainly as you get even older in life, it becomes your child's achievements and accomplishments. If any of us are hunting for a fountain of youth, we're quickly realize that it's you planting the tree that you're never going to be able to sit in the shade of. And my kids are my messages in the bottle of things I want the future to see. And when I see them doing things that I never could have done, my goal is to leave behind a better version. And I can see in real time that I'm doing that. They're better than me. They're better than me at everything. And seeing that, it is that kind of, I can see my dad and my granddaddy, looking down on me and going, and it just, it means the world to me to see them doing things I could only have hoped to do.
Amazing. And the fountain of youth, it does exist. It does exist for me. It's every time I look into the eyes of each of my girls and my boy, it's right there. So anyone who tells you otherwise, that is
absolutely. That's what you leave behind. That's your legacy. Yeah.
All right. Woo, deep. Nick,
come on.
Billboard.
You have a billboard with anything on it. What would it be and why?
I'm sorry, say that again.
If you could have a billboard with anything on it, what would it be and why?
Endeavor to persevere. everything good in my life came after a chunk of adversity. Every single thing, bar none. There are zero exceptions. You know, I've slowly made myself comfortable with being uncomfortable, and that's paid dividends in my life. And it takes a lot of living to understand that this too shall pass. And basically, you know, all those passages that are just words until you have a life experience that really substantiates it. Endeavor to persevere. That and under promise and over deliver have been two staples of my life and my kids' lives. You know, we live by that doctrine. So those are family mottos, and necessity is the mother of invention. All of those. It's you know, it's not who's best, it's who's left. And we're all of us, all Flanerys, we're going to be left.
There you have it.
That's
some
awesome.
Insightful words right there.
I feel like I need to buy us another billboard with something profound on it.
Right.
Well, I will tell you this one. If it was in a men's club, the billboard, this is another something my granddaddy told me when I was an adult already. He said, son, little piece of advice, jerk off twice and reconsider.
And there's our clip. All right there. There's our
That's awesome.
Oh man. All right. I've got a couple questions to add to this, Nick.
I got one more. Hold on.
Oh, all right, man. I am impressed by you.
I would slap you right now, but you're
okay.
You're 30 miles away.
You see, you understand, Sean. Nick doesn't like to talk much. And by not like to talk, it's because I talk too much. So this is impressive. And I'm doing it right now.
You are,
Nick.
Shut the fuck up. Anyway, all right. So what is the funniest parenting fail that you've had? You have 3 kids. You must have had some kind of funny parenting fail.
Man, parenting fail. I mean, you know, realistically, I'm you know, you have to skirt the line. You know, a good parent is not their kid's friend. You know, it's a fine line between, you know, doing things for your kids and doing things with your kids. And really, you know, one of the things that I really think I paced correctly, and it might have been just by happen chance, is because I waited a little longer, you know, to become a parent. And I think that maturity and that patience served me incredibly well. But I am still an adolescent at heart. So some of my parenting fails are, you know, a lot of what my wife says, don't you ever. I'm thinking, well, wait, we just did that 5 times earlier today in the backyard. You know,
yeah,
you know
right.
I mean? It's I mean, you know, everything, you know, it truly is. It's a wonderful mixture. And, you know, my granddaddy told me that too. He said, you know, if you agree with everything your wife says, pick another one. You know, you should have a counter opinion. There's something that comes from a mother that you can't give, and vice versa. Probably my biggest fails are, you know, are doing things that would be considered outlawed by any, you know, bubble wrap parent. I mean, you know, we go skateboarding without shoes, and I know that's a no-no. But you know,
bubble wrapped parent.
Jen,
are you watching?
I'm the counter to that.
So am I. And I think my lady's a bubble wrap parent. So there we got to find somewhere to meet in the middle.
Yeah.
But I love that. I love that term.
I'm the bubble wrap parent out of me and Danielle. Like I'm
really.
Like,
oh, is that right?
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, we got to get a helmet. So my kid has this race car thing, my 2-year-old, right, at grandma and grandpa's house, and it's a little ramp thing that you put the car up on top, and it goes pretty fast. The first time he's on it, he leaned back too far and flew off the back and hit his head on the wall and bounced off the walls and stuff down the hall. So, and they're sending me videos. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with your mom and dad? Why are the grandparents so stupid? What is going on here? So I went out and got him a helmet and some knee pads, and I got laughed at. Yeah.
Well,
that's all right,
my wife saw us. I have a Schwinn Stingray. My first bike was a Schwinn Stingray back in the 70s. And I have a Schwinn Stingray to this day, British Racing Green, just like the one that my dad made for me when I was a kid. And my wife saw we built a ramp in the driveway with a piece of plywood and 2 cinder blocks. and she saw my oldest boy, Charlie, riding over the ramp, and I was laying under the ramp. I was letting him clear, his dad on the bike. And that, didn't really go over the best with, barefoot and no helmet. And, but I mean, it's just, you don't think about a helmet coming from, riding your bike in the 70s and 80s. It just doesn't, and so, I'm sure by today's standards, that's a huge parenting fail. Having said that, dude cleared his dad well and safely, pulled a little wheelie, crossed it up afterwards, one hand wheelie. But yeah, barefoot, no helmet, but he pulled it off.
That's awesome.
Most impressive. I just got a text from my girl, and she said, "Yes, I am a bubble wrap parent, but safety first." So thanks for watching, hon. We appreciate it.
Sorry,
all
man.
right. Okay, so Nick, can I ask a question? Are you got more?
We got one more in the chat really quick. Let's just knock that one out. Jackson Young, are you enjoying tape auditions, or do you miss in-person auditions, or both still on the same level?
That's another thing that COVID kind of changed, is it made everybody realize, from a production standpoint, the fact of renting out an office and holding live casting is just not cost effective. And you can really get an actor's best performance by having them submit a tape. I'll give you an analogy. To build the skyscrapers in New York, they hire certain people. Before we had huge cranes, they had to have people that would walk up and bolt the girders together. There was only a certain type of person that could get up that high on 120 floors and hold a wrench. And there's pictures back in the day of them all sitting on girders,
eating lunch.
Eating lunch.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you this analogy. Nadia Comaneci, the first perfect 10 in gymnastics. If you put her on the 120th floor on that girder that's wider than her balance beam, she probably couldn't walk from one end to the other without falling off. But those dudes can skip to the other side holding a sandwich. What you're looking for is the best performance on the ground. And that's Nadia Comaneci. Sometimes if you hold the audition in the room, the feeling is you're on the 120th floor and Nadia Comaneci falls on her face and you don't hire her. So what this industry has realized, that if you really want to see the person's best performance, let them do it on their own. Let them do 3, 4, 5 takes until they get it right. You submit the tape and you really see what the person's capable of, because that performance is very different than when you come in a room and 9 people go, okay, go, do it again. No, wait. Mike, what did you say? Oh, excuse me. Okay, yeah, go ahead. That's very different. It neuters a performance. And I'm quite okay with the audition process being, remote and self-tape and links. I think it's the best way to show somebody what you're capable of.
So kind of playing off that a little bit, do you think that it's like social media taking over too? Like people are so much more comfortable shooting selfies and TikTok videos and stuff, opposed to 10 years ago when that wasn't even a thing. So like a lot of the younger actors that are coming out, they're all TikTok famous first, and then they're on Disney or on Nickelodeon or whatever.
No, I'll disagree with you on that. I think what social media has made, and more importantly, the reverse facing camera, is it makes people very aware of what they look like when they're speaking. And there's something wonderful of what your body and your face does that you can't reproduce, that nature gives you when you're completely unaware. Now everybody is aware. So on every audition now, people are talking like that with the right angle, with the right lighting, and they listen to, what does my voice sound like? Instead of just losing yourself and you're picking your nose, there's no reverse facing camera, so you forget that you're scratching your ear, right? And it's cool. It's very natural. I'm quite honestly, I'm sick of seeing people with the right perfect lighting, and everybody's got a ring light, and then you meet them in person, you're like, who the fuck is that? Yeah, because with a beautiful ring light, they've modulated their voice with a certain app, and they're unrecognizable both visually and sonically. I think social media has made people way too aware, and there's something about a lack of awareness that's incredibly appealing.
Yeah, I told you, Nick, you got to take that filter off. In reality, he's bald and about 80 pounds heavier. Okay,
now,
and
I'll let you see my ring light.
And there's no beard either.
Light.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, my ring light.
Hey, I only did the ring lights because you told me to, JP. So.
You gotta have. If this is a podcast, man, you know it's okay to have a ring light, but when you dial it in, like he's saying, it's terrible. All right.
Okay.
My turn.
I guess it's your turn.
All right. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate that. Well done, by the way. I applaud you, good sir. Next podcast, you're running it, and I'm not going to be a part of it. Just so you know, you did so well.
That's cool.
Oh, we're not there yet. See how quiet he got? All right, Sean, you can star alongside an actor or actress, an actor. I shouldn't differentiate the two. They are the same. Living or dead that you've never been with or starred alongside with. Who would it be?
I've already done it. I wrote a story in 2007 and it just came out last year. It was called Born a Champion. And I got an opportunity to cast my two boys for different periods of the lead character's life. So my youngest son plays my son at a certain age, and then my older son plays my son at a different age. There's no name that would move me as much as sharing the screen with a passion project like that as my own boys. And you know, martial arts something that we've both done since. If you ask my boys when they started jiu-jitsu, they would have to ask me. They don't remember a time when they didn't do jiu-jitsu. So I've already done it. It was acting alongside them. And when people say, "Ooh, who's their agent?" They don't have an agent. They're kids. They're in sports. They're in school. They went and did it because I said, "Hey, you want to do this?" And we all did it as a family. If they ever get into acting again down the line, it'll be when they're adults and they make that choice on their own, or maybe I put them in something else. But I've already done it. There is no name outside of my brood that will ever come close to that. And you could pick a name. It could be Schwarzenegger. It could be any name. It's not going to compare to working with your own boy, doing something that you love and that you've grown up doing together.
I love that answer. And in the comments section, Jackson Young said brilliant. And I don't think I could have come up with a better word for that either. That is almost the perfect answer to that question. I'm always searching for, perfect answers to the questions we ask on this show. And that question, that's about as close as we ever come. Amazing. And it gave me the heebie-jeebies. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but their hairs are standing on end after that answer.
If you haven't had a chance, check out the movie, because both of my boys are in it and they're killer. They've never acted before in their life, and not to downgrade my craft, but it's not something you need to go to school for 20 years. No, when you audition for a film, nobody asks you what school you went to, because it doesn't matter. All they care is, can you do it right now? And to show you, when people always ask me like, how much schooling, where do you go to learn? My boys have never done it before, and they pull it off beautifully.
Awesome.
That's awesome, man. It's called Born a Champion.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's called Born a Champion, and it's still on demand as well.
Okay.
And I'm incredibly proud of it. I wrote it back in 2007, and then finally got it produced, and it came out January 22nd of last year.
Okay. Awesome. I will probably check that one out tomorrow because I'm old, and I'm gonna check out Frank and Penelope tonight. So
check them both out and shoot me a social media message. Let me know what you think.
Okay. Definitely.
Your jiu-jitsu, do you is it more of a hobby, or is there ever any competitive aspects to your jiu-jitsu? There's a method to my madness.
Well, the first half of my career was always competitive. I competed in tournaments all the time, probably the first 10 years of my jiu-jitsu career. And then the second half, any martial artist will tell you, when you're competing, it's incredibly selfish. I'll give you an example. I could be training with somebody and hit an arm lock on them, and they'd be like, "Oh, Flanery, you got to show me that arm lock." And selfishly, I'd be like, "Oh, yeah. As soon as in an hour, I'll show it to you." Man, in an hour, I was out the door. I didn't care about them. It was all about me. I was using them as a tool to get better. The second half of your career is this. It's all this. And that's where I am now, giving it back to my kids, my students. It's really what legacy is about. And everybody has their own signature on their martial art. And I certainly do with jiu-jitsu. And I want to leave behind what I think is a very rare brand of jiu-jitsu. So in answer to your question, I competed, a lot the first half, pretty much exclusively.
The reason I asked that is about a year ago, Nick had arranged a sparring match, which turned into an actual full-fledged It's going to be a fight with UFC star Josh Berkman. And it was going to be all for charity on both ends. Josh's charity, our charity. But Nick ended up getting COVID, got real sick, and just it all fell apart. It may or may not still happen, but the bottom line is
recently it's still
Sean for charity. You think you'd be willing to get your ass handed to you by Sean Patrick Flanery in a jiu-jitsu match?
I think I could hold my own for about 32 and a half seconds. So I actually went and took jiu-jitsu at 10th Planet here in Grants Pass, which is tied into the 10th Planet, down like the whole big 10th Planet thing.
Of course. Yep.
And it kicked my ass. It was like the best workout I've ever done. Amazing. I ended up getting wrapped up like a pretzel by some older gentleman who had about 150 pounds on me and messed up my neck really bad. So it's been about 6 months since I've been back, but I definitely, when my body feels like I'm comfortable, I want to hit back in and pick it up again.
You should, man. I can't recommend it more highly. And Eddie Bravo, who started 10th Planet, killer instructor. You're in good company there.
Yeah, I've got a good buddy of mine. He's ranked in the top in the world. He's a men over 40, and he's home base is out of Medford, and he travels all over and competes. One of the nicest guys in the world, and the community and the family in the jiu-jitsu world is just amazing. You walk in, you think it's going to be a bunch of badass dicks, and it's all these super sweet, big, nice guys that are like there to show you how to do stuff and make sure you're okay. They're not there to hurt you. And so anybody that wants to do jiu-jitsu, you get that out of your head. You go to a jiu-jitsu place. It's a community. It's a family. It's not what you think it's going to be.
I'll tell you, I tell people this all the time. You know, I don't care how close you think your working environment is. If you post on Facebook to all of your workers, hey, I'm moving and I'm renting a U-Haul. If anybody wants to go help, I'll buy free pizza. Nobody's showing up, brother. Nobody. You do that to your jiu-jitsu academy, I defy one person at the academy to not show up if they're in town. Right. It's just the way it is. It's I've owned an academy since 2003. Nothing has ever been stolen. You go back in the locker room, there's wallets left out, $100 bills sticking out. And I've had huge CAA agents in the academy and people that I'm pretty sure have robbed liquor stores before. Nothing is stolen. It is a sanctuary. It is a brethren. It is a bond that cannot be replaced by our checks are being written by the same boss. It's just very different. I urge you, if there is a hole in your life or anything, most likely jiu-jitsu can fill it. It'll keep you healthy, mentally healthy, physically healthy. You'll live longer and you'll have a purpose for your free time.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter how old or what kind of shape you're in either. You can get in. The academy I went to figured out my skill level, hooked me up with the right team, and we were working through stuff, and it was just amazing. So
yeah, it's killer, brother. Killer. I recommend it to everybody.
Fine. Nick, I understand. I get what you're trying to get at here, and I'll look into it. Jeez.
Yeah, just put down the fish tacos, brother.
Well, the fish tacos are the best taco to have if you're looking to eat healthy. Come on, man. All right, Sean, we're getting close to the end of our time here together. This is the next question I ask of every guest we have on, in my opinion, is generally the most profound one I typically ask. So no pressure. If you were to give one bit of advice to any new father or expecting father, what would that advice be?
You know, if somebody could put this in a word, you know, I've never found that. But realistically, you know, I'll go back to my granddaddy because, you know, my granddaddy taught me just about everything that resonated in my life. And I remember he jokingly told me, you know, in the age of cell phones, when I said, you know, my dad, whenever I said I was getting married, I said, he said, you want some advice? I said, yeah. He goes, answer the phone. So what do you mean? He goes, answer the phone. I don't care where you are. Answer the phone. Answer wherever you are. Answer the phone. And now, what a piece of advice just for being a husband is, hey, I'm in a meeting. Can I call you right back? So realistically, in my opinion, if you want to be the best father out there, choose correctly when you're selecting a mate. If you choose correctly, the job will be easy. There's a very good reason why, I mean, the divorce rate is astronomical, and the odds of producing healthy mentally and physically children with broken family, the odds go way down. So the biggest decision any future father can make is who he chooses to procreate with. So choose correctly, because keeping that bond together and teaching your sons and your daughters what a healthy relationship is tantamount to everything else in life, because your legacy stops if your offspring doesn't produce offspring. What your legacy is about is leaving behind a better version. So that chain has to keep going for me to achieve that. So, if your courtship process took place in a jacuzzi and it was formulated with words like shit, nice rack. Okay, go a little bit deeper than nice rack. And for the women out there, go a little bit deeper than, oh my God, Susie, did you see the car he pulled up in? A little bit deeper, ask the questions. And
a lot of bit
it
deeper.
Has nothing. An incredibly large amount deeper. But realistically, the answer to that question for me has nothing to do with being a father. It has to do with selecting who you elect to get into the game with.
There you go. Sean Patrick Flanery, everyone. Amazing.
I love that. That's incredible.
Yeah. Again, we've interviewed lots. And I mean, I haven't even mentioned this yet. I've worked in radio almost 20 years here in Southern Oregon. So I've had the opportunity to interview and speak with a plethora of celebrities and musicians and whatnot. And that answer to that question, quite possibly the most profound one I think I've ever heard. It's never gone that route before. And I love that. I love hearing, when something raises your eyebrow when you ask a question that goes, oh, that's a thinker. Never looked at it that way before. Very well, man. Thank you.
I appreciate it, man. I do. I appreciate it. I will, before we go, I'll give you a gander on my boys doing a little wrestling.
Oh, dude, I'd love to. Absolutely.
Yeah. Nice.
This is another episode.
I'm going to keep it down here, but.
All right. For the YouTube audience, Sean Patrick Flanery has now taken us inside the gym, the wrestling mat, where his boys are competing live as we speak here on YouTube.
So my Schwinn Stingray is British Racing Green. My dad's race car is British Racing Green. There's my boy in a British Racing Green singlet.
Yeah.
Raven and Gunner. And here's my younger son. He's in the red T-shirt right here, going with his friend Gigi. But just put away. That's their wrestling right there. I'll get off the mat now. I just had to interrupt him real quick.
And there is the 98% that we started the show off with. We're going to end the show with Sean Patrick Flanery hanging out with his kids. Once again, you can see Sean in his words, not mine, thousands of movies you've never heard of, and a few that you have. The ones that you may have heard of course, Boondock Saints 1 and 2, Powder, and most recently, available today, wherever you stream or download your movies, Frank and Penelope. Sean Patrick Flanery. Hey, is there going to be a Boondock Saints 3 and 4?
I don't know about that, but let me say something about Frank and Penelope.
Yeah.
Please, if you do, for everybody out there, it means a lot to me because this is my first foray into directing, and I happen to write Frank and Penelope as well. I wrote Born a Champion as well. If you watch either one of those, please shoot me a social media message and let me know your honest thoughts for Born a Champion and Frank and Penelope. I'd love to hear from everybody out there if you do get a chance to check it out. And if you do, I hope you dig it.
Absolutely. And for everyone watching live now, obviously there's no link available to you. Go watch the movie. If you're catching this anytime in the future down the line, I will put a link down in the messages. And if you're watching this, shoot a comment. Let us know what you thought of the flick, and I will absolutely pass it along to Sean, and it'll be an absolute good time. I can't wait. Like I said, tonight it's movie night in the Pierce household. But unfortunately, I know this one's I know this one's rated R, so the littles are going to be they don't get any part of Frank and Penelope, but don't you worry, Papa and Mama are going to check this thing out. I cannot wait. Bells
Dude,
on. We are excited.
So stoked to see Jonathan Sheck. Like, he looks like an absolute beast in this movie. So it's
like, remember I mentioned the first 5 minutes.
He is killer. He's killer in this.
Wow. So Jonathan Sheck referred Mr. Sean Patrick Flanery. I'd be remiss if I didn't at least plant a seed for the future. If you find it in the willingness of your heart to maybe plant a seed of your own for us, and call up your buddy Norman Reedus one day and say, hey, man, if you ever get a free minute, I know a couple of guys that got a great podcast going on. They got a great message. They'd love to have you on. We would like that. That is one of my bucket list guys right there, Sean.
Well, let me reach out. Homie's on speed dial.
Exactly. All right.
Dude,
everyone
so cool.
listening and watching live right now, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us with Mr. Sean Patrick Flanery. If you're watching this in the future, once again, thank you so very much. Please comment, like this thing up, subscribe if you haven't done so already, because we are going to be doing a big time heavy live YouTube presentation with the Dadcast over the next few months. So we want to make sure you don't miss anything. Sean Patrick Flanery, it's been a pleasure, man. Thank you so very, very much, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Likewise, gentlemen. Thank you very much. God bless and Godspeed.
Absolutely. Once again, Frank and Penelope, go check it out. It is released and dropped today. He is Sean Patrick Flanery. On behalf of Nick, that guy, and myself, JP, once again, thank you so much. We'll catch you on the very next episode. Have a great rest of your day. See y'all. Stop recording. I'm going to go off live here. Oh, there's Jesse, the man behind the scenes. Say hi.
What's up, buddy?
What's up, guys? Great show. Nice job.
Thank you very much. Did the YouTube stop?
Great job.
It says we're still live on YouTube.
Yeah, hold
It
on.
will for a few minutes. Oh, stop that YouTube there, JP, upper left.
Yeah. It's not.